Hello and welcome to the Backpacking Podcast with myself and my favorite redheaded hiking giant, Mr. Jeremiah Stringer. How are you, buddy?
What's up, man? I'm doing fantastic. Just out here living the good life, surviving and advancing. What about you?
I'm in day 2 of quarantine. So for people that are listening and don't know what I'm talking about, this past week, my family came into contact with another family that we love and we're good friends with. And the wife got really sick over the weekend and she came down with COVID. And so we had to get tested. I got tested yesterday and my wife and kids got tested this morning. So we'll find out in a couple days whether or not we can go back into public or if we're going to be at home for 2 weeks.
I'm surprised that you don't have to have like multiple negatives in a row.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've never had it. I mean, well, I say that I've had it, but like my kids and my wife have been tested twice and they didn't get it either time. And plus it's been over 72 hours. Like this was last Thursday when we were in contact.
Yeah. So you probably don't have it.
So, well, sometimes it takes 2 weeks for the symptoms to show.
Well, so, I want to ask you about something.
Ask me about something.
And this has already happened. So I want to talk to you. I've been waiting, sitting on the edge of my seat, and I wanted us to record a podcast and for you to tell me about your trip to Alabama. This is before you were exposed to the vid.
And funny story, one of the guys on that trip is the husband of the wife that got sick. So
oh, okay.
So I was definitely around him for 6 hours in a car on the way down there and back. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's long story short, it was just one of those unfortunate things. I mean, nobody knows, he had just been tested a day or two before that and was tested negative. So chances of me getting it are probably pretty slim, but we're still getting tested to find out. So
I got you.
Well, but either way, so let me tell you about Alabama.
Okay. Take me through the whole thing. I want to hear, how did it start? How's the drive down? What'd y'all do?
Yeah, man, we met up with Brad Felton, who is he's known as the Crow Flies Hiking on YouTube. Great guy. He's obviously from Alabama. Real big into the chia ha. I found out it's not chia. I thought I was calling it chia, like chia pets, like on my video, and he had to correct me, and it's chia ha.
What is chia ha?
Forest. It's an Indian word.
You know what, Brad?
I should say Native American. I think Indian is considered insensitive now. Is that right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't want to be insensitive. I'm so terrible. I'm like the least politically correct human being on the planet. I struggle with that, so I got to fix that.
When you remember whenever we were backpacking in Red River Gorge and Brad was there?
Yeah.
Did you make those biscuits?
Yes.
I haven't made them, and I need to. They're still in my cabinet.
Jeremiah.
What?
Those are the best biscuits in the world. But here's the secret. I found this out. When I went down there, we ate at the restaurant those biscuits came from.
What's it called?
It's called Tim and Nick's, or Jim and Nick's. Jim and Nick's.
Jim and Nick's, and they make the best biscuits.
Yeah, but they do them in muffin tins.
Oh, am I supposed to do that?
You'll want to, trust me. Because we did them as biscuits and they were really good. But when I had them as muffins at the restaurant, oh man, they're so good.
I'll try them. They're like cheddar biscuits or something like that?
Yeah, the cheddar biscuits. And they are so good. They're really light. So you think they're good for you because they're light, but they're not good for you.
I don't think that you can convince me that cheddar biscuits are good for me.
But they are good. I will admit that. They are good. They're definitely not on the diet. I will say that. But when you hike several miles, you can eat a biscuit every once in a while, which is kind of nice.
You ate there after the hike?
No, we ate there the night before.
Oh, okay. So you go down and
we left it was only 6 hours down there. We thought it was going to be like 9, but that's the southern part of the state. We weren't going that far. So we ended up driving 6 hours. We left at like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. So we weren't rushed or anything. Went down Thursday night. We ended up going out to eat with Brad and his family, which his family is awesome.
Oh, I bet he's awesome. So if they're anything like him.
Their whole family's awesome. And we ended up staying at their house. They hooked us up with a room at the house.
Didn't have to pay for a hotel, man.
Didn't have to pay for a hotel. Didn't have to pay for. He bought our meal.
Wow, what a nice guy.
So, but I did. Now I will say I did hook him up though.
Oh, what did you bring him?
Yeah, if you're from Kentucky or the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area, you're gonna understand how good of a human being I am. I brought him a 6-pack of Ale 8s.
Yeah. Oh, so
I brought him a bag of Mingy Brothers beef jerky. I brought him a can of Skyline chili and a bag of Grippo's barbecue potato chips. So he was very happy with me when I got there.
The L8, don't they call that like Kentucky swamp water?
Kentucky swamp water. Yeah, he called it ginger ale. Like, he's the only person I've ever met that calls it ginger ale. But I was like, you know what? He loves it. Like, he was so excited. He goes, "Is it?" Like, he was like shaking physically, like going, "Is that ginger ale?" And he got so excited, and so it made me happy, dude. I was so happy because this dude's hooking us up with a place to stay, and then he bought us dinner, which we were not expecting that. Yeah. So it was really, really cool.
The L8, for those that don't know, it comes in like a glass bottle typically, and you actually have to use a bottle opener to pop that top. And then if you get it around the surrounding area, which is around Winchester, Kentucky, is where it's bottled, right?
Yeah.
So you can take those bottles back and recycle those. I don't know if you get any money back, but a lot of the restaurants will take them back.
Yeah, you used to get money back for them because they were deposit bottles.
Yeah, you may get a nickel or something, but it's
but
very
if you
rare.
if you get the smaller glass bottles, they just twist off. So
yeah, in Kentucky, I find it's rare to get money back on like recyclables.
Yeah,
but it seems Kentucky. Like all my friends, I know we must not put a big priority on recycling, but my friends in other states, they save their cans. Like, I was up in Michigan, and they're like, "No, don't crush those cans. Those are like so much a pound." For aluminum, we can take those back, or the bottles or whatever. But when I was in college, we actually had to pay to recycle. Like, it was an extra $4 a month. I was like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, try to help the environment and pay for it.
Yeah, that's okay. So sorry, I didn't mean to interject so much. So
we get down there, we spend the night, and get up the next day, and his wife has made a breakfast casserole. Mm-hmm. And for people who are probably out west or in other places where you don't eat things like casseroles, in the South, a breakfast casserole is basically, the bottom of it is just one giant biscuit, and on top of it is eggs, sausage, and cheese. And it's about the closest thing to heavenly breakfast food as you will ever find. Outside of just bacon itself, it's like just awesome. And so she had this breakfast casserole, and coffee was already brewed by the time we woke up. Wow. We lived it up, man. Then we headed out to the trail. And on the way out there, he told us his friend Bill was meeting up with us, and he called him Pyro Bill. And I'll get to that in a little bit. So he had his buddy Pyro Bill was going to meet us out there. And so we got to the trail, and we hiked like 4 or 5 miles. It was not a long hike the first day, but it was intentional. We wanted to get to this campsite. But here's the thing. He takes us there, and the first thing he does is we park up at this other parking lot. And when we get to the parking lot, we walk up to where the highest point in Alabama is.
What's it called?
I don't remember. I did video, so I would remember this stuff. Like, I haven't edited the video yet. All I remember is it was the highest point in Alabama, and it was in this like kind of touristy area.
Yeah,
I think we had to pay $5 to get into it and all that kind of stuff to check it out. But we went in there, checked that out, hiked this boardwalk out to this really cool overview, which I got a cool picture of it. Really cool picture of it. Went out to the overview, hung out there for a little bit, then walked back up the boardwalk, got in the vehicle, and we headed down to the actual trail. And then we got on the trail and hiked out about 4 miles to our where we were staying for the night. But along the way, we're hiking along a mountain ridge.
Okay.
So like every 500 feet was a view. Like, awesome. It was incredible. I mean, every 500 feet, it's like you would stop and you would look out, and you're on top of this mountain, just looking at, it's like you're on top of the world. You could see for miles and miles and miles, and which was really cool. And then we got on the Pinhoti Trail.
Yeah, that runs. Well, actually, I don't know where it runs. It's east to west, isn't it?
No, it's south to north. It actually connects up with the bottom of the AT.
Okay.
Um, Benton Mackay is the guy who created the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, one
And
of them.
yeah, but Benton Mackay always wanted the trail to go down to Alabama and start at Chia Mountain. Like that was always his hope, is that it wouldn't start up at Springer Mountain, but it would start at Chiaha. Sorry, I said it wrong. I called it Chia Pet Mountain. But it was supposed to start at Chiaha Mountain and then go north. And so that never ended up happening, obviously, because Springer Mountain became the traditional starting point and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Pinhoti Trail then starts down at Chiaha Mountain and goes all the way up to Georgia. So
I wonder how far that is total.
300 and some odd miles. I don't know the exact number, but I did take a video of there was a sign there that shows where if you were to start at that point and keep going, how you would hike all the way to Katahdin. It showed the trail leading from the beginning of the Pinhoti all the way to the end of the AT.
That is so cool.
It has a really cool plaque, and it was right next to another one of those amazing overviews. So we hike from there, we go up, and then I see like this blue and white. I thought it was like a big piece of plastic laying in the woods, and I was like, "Oh, come on, man!" Because I hate trash. You know how I am about trash in the woods. And so I see this. I think it's a big piece of trash in the woods. He goes, "Well, hang on." We walk up there, and it was the remains of a plane crash that happened years ago. It was like a piece of a wing, and then we kept hiking up, and there's the fuselage right there in the woods. It was like somebody with like a Cessna or something crashed on top of this mountain.
Wow. And you kind of have to leave it there. I don't even know how you would take that out.
Yeah, there was no packing that out. Like there's just no way to pack it out. And I think it's become kind of part of the story of the mountain and everything. So they've kind of left it there. I think the crash happened in the 80s, I think is what he told me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so that we saw the plane remains. And then as we're hiking from there, all of a sudden coming up behind us comes Pyro Bill. And he hikes up behind us, and because we'd been stopping a lot looking at views, and these guys, they hike it all the time. So it's not like Bill was stopping for every single view. You know, he just wasn't doing that. So so Pyro Bill met up with us, and we hiked on up to our campsite. I think we got to our campsite at like 3:00 in the afternoon. And so we went off and found firewood and all this kind of stuff. I hung my hammock up, and I averted disaster, but I could have had disaster.
What's your disaster? Did Pyro Bill try to set your hammock on fire?
No.
That's what
he
I
was
was
in a
thinking.
hammock too. He was in a hammock too. But no, the trees up there have a really slick bark, and so I hung my hammock up, and it kept sliding down the tree. And so I finally got it to where it was secure and it wouldn't slide. And it was just the kind of bark that was on it. It kind of flakes off the tree.
Yeah, I never heard of that before.
And so, so I got my hammock set up finally, and it didn't slip during the night, so I felt good about that. But we got everything set up, got the fire up, and they call him Pyro Bill because this is literally what he does. The moment all the firewood's collected, Pyro Bill is making the fire. And Pyro Bill is maintaining that fire. Like, we didn't have to touch the fire the entire time we were there because Pyro Bill was on it.
He must love anything fire.
He does. And he's a good singer.
Did y'all take an instrument?
No, but Pyro Bill just sings.
Wow.
And he's really good. Like, he can, like really good. Like, yeah, like really good singer. So, and I did music for like 12 years. And I'm telling you, this dude could actually sing. So, anyway, so we go to bed that night. We all eat our meals, hang out, talk. We went down. There was a really cool like overview of McDill's Point, I think is what it's called. And we went and hung out over McDill's Point for sunset. And the next morning we got up, went out to McDill's Point again, checked everything out, came back. I think I got video of Josh, who got a trail name this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, he's a former Marine, and his trail name is now the Sarge.
Oh, I like it.
So he was a sergeant in the military in the Marines, and so he's now the Sarge. So I got karate. I got the Sarge doing some karate out on McDill's Point.
Does he even know karate?
No, that's what made it great. And so we got back to our campsite, loaded everything up, and started our hike. And what we were doing that day is we were hiking all along the mountain ridges and checking out all the views, which, man, I sent you some of the pictures.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Unbelievable pictures. And then we hiked down. Basically, the entire hike was down. And so we hiked down to these waterfalls. And these waterfalls were amazing. And the other thing is we didn't have any water from the time we left to get on the trail till we got to the waterfalls.
How far?
It was about 4 miles to the waterfalls the next day.
Wow. So you're saying you went to bed and slept dry and didn't get any water till the next day?
Yeah, basically, I think I brought like 2 liters on the trail. So I had a liter for the first day, and then I had a liter on the way down with my breakfast. And what I did for my food was I just did complete cookies for breakfast because I didn't feel like cooking anything, you know?
Yeah.
So I would do like a cup of coffee and a cookie for breakfast.
I guess that you really didn't have any choice though, right? Like,
Yeah, there was just no water. There's no water up there on top of the mountain.
Man, I would have had to pack more water. Like, I think it's kind of a fear of mine sleeping dry, especially if I don't have like 4 liters of water with me.
Yeah.
But I get headaches if I'm not drinking enough water. Like, somebody commented the other day, and they're like, "What? You drinking that much water? What are you, like, you backpacking 15 miles in the Sahara or something?" I'm like, I just like stay really hydrated.
Well, one of the things I always do personally, and this is just me, but if I'm ever doing a hike like that where I know I'm not going to be eating a lot on the trail, what I'll try and do is I'll drink as much water before I get on the trail as I can.
Yeah,
If
do a
that
little
makes sense.
pre-hydrate.
Yeah, I think it's wise to do that because if you do that, you're not going to need as much when you're hiking. And so I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of water, so I didn't want to set myself up for failure. So we got a lot to drink during like lunch and everything leading up to getting on the trail, because it was about an hour or so drive from Brad's house to the trailhead.
I got you.
And so the next day we go down to the waterfall, and then there's a campsite up at the top of the hill, or not even up the top of the hill, just up from that we were supposed to camp at originally, and then hike out the last 8 miles the last day. And so I talked to Brad and I said, well, what if we hike like 4 extra miles, get up to the top of the mountain, and then we just have to hike out 4 miles the next day?
What did he say?
He was all about it. Like, we were all about that because we were all like, nobody wants to hike. It was literally like the hike was literally like, it was a 19% grade. So it was a pretty steep grade to hike. And so we decided, yeah, we're going to hike the extra miles so that we can get up. We ended up camping. We found this, like, literally, this is what happens. There was a hurricane that went through Alabama and the Gulf Coast and all that stuff a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, something like that. And it tore the woods up. Like, entire campsites were destroyed because they're just full-size trees all over the place, just down. So it made hiking really slow because we constantly had to bushwhack around trees or climb over trees or, do all that, reroute, that kind of thing. And so our hiking went really slow that day, and we we're all exhausted. And by the time I would say about 4:30, 5 o'clock hit, we're walking along the trail, and we were just like, the next site we see, we're taking. And we come up on a site, and Pyro Bill literally said, I think somebody left us trail magic. Because we get to this site, and there's 2 perfect spots for hammocks. There's 2 perfect spots for tents, and there was firewood waiting at the fire pit.
Wow.
We didn't have to go look for firewood. We didn't have, it was so easy to set up our stuff. It was the perfect ending to the day. And so we set up our fire. Of course, Bill sets up the fire because Pyro Bill. And we all hung out at the fire. And literally, man, we were like a bunch of old men. Like we got there and we were exhausted. Everybody was. And so we were like, you know what? I'm going to bed. It was like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
It's probably pitch black out there.
It was pitch black. Yeah. I mean, it was dark. Plus we knew that rain was coming the next day.
Oh, so you're trying to get up early just to beat the rain too.
Yeah, man. We were trying to get up really early because we just didn't want to hike in the rain. Because we went dry the entire time. And it was like, why not end dry? You know, you don't need to get wet. Don't get wet. You know what I mean? So the next morning, I think I woke up at like 4.
Wow.
And so I had just woke up because we went to bed so early anyways.
Yeah.
I think I actually went to sleep around 8.
Did you lay there with a hang time hook?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is the best, man.
I got to watch John Wick this weekend. That's a fun movie, man. I never watched John Wick.
How old is that?
Few years.
It's got to be pretty old because I think I've seen it and I literally cannot remember anything that happens in it.
It's just one of those shoot people movies, you know?
Keanu Reeves, right?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
So I watched that one night, and I think I watched Avengers Endgame
In the same night?
No, in 2 different nights.
Oh, I started to say Avengers Endgame. That's a pretty long movie.
Well, I didn't watch all of it. I fell asleep.
Okay.
So, yeah, when I woke up, my phone had already turned off because the movie had been off that long. So, but yeah, I woke up at 4 o'clock, and I put on my red light on my headlamp, and I just went ahead and started tearing my stuff down. And I think 10 minutes after I got started, I look over, and Josh has got his headlamp on in his tent. You can tell he's moving around. I look over, Brad's doing the same thing. And maybe 20 minutes later, Pyro Bill's up, and he sees all of us working. He goes, I guess we're tearing down. And so he tore his stuff down, and we were on the trail by like, I want to say 5:30 or 6.
Yeah.
And we just hightailed it out of there. And literally, like, I looked at the radar, and it said that rain would be there at 9 o'clock. And so I told the guys, I said, man, if we can get out of here before 9, we should be dry. So we get out of there. I think we got out at like 8:30. We got off the trail.
Wow.
9:06. We're driving at 9:06, and the rain starts.
You guys timed it up perfectly.
Yeah, it worked out really well. Ended up being a great trip. I mean, saw some beautiful views, man. Alabama is just really interesting. I mean, there are sections where it looks like Pennsylvania on the AT, where you're just walking over rocks. I mean, huge rocks the whole time. Then they've got these mountain laurels, I think is what Brad called them. And you walk through them, and it almost feels tropical, like you're in some tropical area. And then, of course, you got the mountaintops. We had waterfalls. We had pine forests that we walked through. It was everything. I mean, there wasn't anything we didn't hike through on that, which was pretty cool.
What is the elevation like on the highest point versus what you all were doing?
It wasn't super high. It was probably like 2,000 or 2,500 feet.
That's how tall the highest point is in Alabama?
They're not that tall, man. Like that, he was kind of joking about that. But the thing is, it goes all the way down. You know what I mean? Like it goes down to like,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it gets low, and then you go all the way up. But it wasn't even the fact that you were high. It was just it was a lot steeper than I thought it was going to be.
I got you.
In a couple of the spots. Even Josh, who was hiking in front of me, we were in Grayson Highlands back in September, and we did 3,000 feet of elevation that one day, and it was the whole time. That's all we hiked was just straight up the side of a mountain up to the top of Grayson Highlands, and this was harder. Like he was exhausted at the end.
Yeah, that kills me. I would actually rather go uphill than downhill because the downhill, especially when it's steep like that, kind of hurts my knees.
Yeah.
But the uphill is just straight up physically harder on me.
Yeah, it's exhausting. I mean, we're just exhausted. I mean, but it was one of those things where we saw so many views and we got to see these amazing waterfalls. And so it was 100% worth it.
Yeah, I've never been hiking in Alabama. I mean, it sounds like it's worth it,
Yeah.
listening to you talk. I've only just like traveled, like we'll go through there. Sometimes if we're going south, take the interstate through there. We took a road trip. I guess it's sometime earlier this year, maybe. And we stayed in Birmingham, but literally just like stay in a hotel, like not checking anything out or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, we went east of Birmingham to get to the trailhead. So we were like an hour or so east. because like Birmingham in that area is pretty flat. You know, that's like Tornado Alley. Is Alabama's part of Tornado Alley, and so you don't expect to see tornadoes where tornadoes are. It would be mountains. You wouldn't think that'd be in the same place.
How far?
They're
how
there.
How far north do you think that tornadoes go?
I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that high winds. We saw one tree that had to be a tornado that hit it because the tree was twisted, like literally twisted. Like if you're trying to, when you try to take a branch off of a tree or something, and it's green, and you keep having to twist it and twist it and twist it to get it to come off. It looked like that's what happened to this tree. It was twisted like the whole tree, and I'm talking a tree that's like 2.5, 3 feet around.
Wow.
Twisted in a circle. So
we were up in Michigan recently, and on the way back, there was a high wind advisory, and we were just driving home from like a weekend trip. 65-mile-an-hour winds, semi trucks turned over.
Oh my gosh!
Multiple crashes, and like there's a couple of times that we had to get off the interstate just because the wind had caused an accident and it's blocking the road, and so they're doing lane closures. Did I tell you about this semi truck that was turned over?
No, that's the first I'm hearing about any of this stuff.
So we're driving, and I like to just set the cruise, right? And then if we're driving, I have a rule. Okay.
For those of you listening, Jeremiah just smiled real big and just said, I have a rule.
I have a rule. Unless I'm like passing someone, I don't like to go in a 70-mile-per-hour zone. I don't like to go more than like 8 miles per hour over the speed limit.
Yeah.
And I have never got pulled over for speeding in my entire life. And I just set the cruise, and I say, this is my rule, and I don't worry about how long it's going to take to get there. Okay, so we're driving in the left lane, and then I see up ahead there's like flashing lights and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get over. I get over in the farthest lane. Dude, this semi-truck, a full-size semi, pulling a trailer, is straight up flipped on its side just over the white line of the far left lane, 3-lane interstate.
Oh, wow.
75, I-75. Yeah, and, so many accidents, man. Anyway, I was thinking about the reason why I asked you about the tornadoes is on the way back from that trip, I was like, I wonder how far north these tornadoes go. And it's super flat up there. Like you're driving from Michigan, you're going through the whole state of Ohio back to Kentucky. Yeah. And it's just farmland. And I was just thinking, I bet that one of the reasons why it's so windy is there's literally nothing out here to break the wind.
Well, in Wisconsin, I used to live in Wisconsin, and when I lived up there, it was a tornado alley. Tornadoes go through there all the time because, like you said, it's so flat. So yeah, that's pretty typical. Like coming from Minnesota straight across through Wisconsin. So I would say I wouldn't be surprised at all if they did. I mean, when I lived in Ohio as a kid, we lived in northern Ohio, and we had a tornado come through our town and destroy tons of houses and wilderness areas and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was bad. I remember one of my friends, she lived in a trailer, and her trailer got wrapped around a telephone pole.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, they come through there. That's for sure.
Did she make it out?
Well, they weren't in it. Luckily, they were at a softball game.
Wow.
Like, imagine that. You go to a softball game, and then, of course, everybody's hiding during the softball game. And then when you go home after the game, you don't see your trailer sitting where it was, and you find out it's about a half a mile down the road wrapped around a telephone pole.
That has to be that's like right up there with a house fire. Like that has to be one of the worst feelings.
At least with a house fire, you can you see your house when you get home.
Well, what's left of it?
Yeah, could you imagine like you're having to drive up the road to find your house?
Yeah, a trailer half-mile away wrapped around a pole. Oh, there was also like I bet there was 10 or 15 telephone or not telephone but power lines that were just snapped.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
2-lane highway, and then to our left just snapped, and then they all, I assume, just went whoosh, 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 and just kept snapping.
Well, have you ever been backpacking in high wind?
Oh, it is awful, man. It's the scariest thing ever. And you're like, tree branches falling down.
I think it's way more dangerous than rain or ice or anything else. I think wind is the absolute most dangerous thing you can be in when you're hiking. Like I said, I mean, it destroyed a lot of the campsites and stuff that we don't even know if there were campsites there, but if they look like it, because it was big flat areas, but there were just trees. Like, if you can imagine an area of like 30 or 40 trees and they're all down, there's not a single tree standing. They're all knocked down.
And like the hammock nor the tent is safe.
No.
Those branches coming down.
No. And especially if it's a whole tree.
Yeah.
I mean, it made hiking really difficult, but I can't imagine if somebody would have been up there when all that was going on. I can't imagine anybody be dumb enough to be up there when that's going on, for one thing. But I mean, gosh, could you imagine how scared you'd be?
You remember Rue, whenever we had him on, he was talking about getting knocked out by that tree branch and waking up in his hammock. And like, it's been 16 hours and he's just wrapped up and it's wrapped around his face. And it was the wind blowing the branch out of the tree and knocking him in the head unconscious. Or well, he's already unconscious. You know, he's asleep, but keeping him unconscious for hours.
That's just scary, man. I'm glad he survived that because I like Rue. He's a good guy. But it's funny because, I mean, Josh and I went down to the Smokies back in August, maybe. I can't remember. It was August or October. I can't remember which month we went down there. But we went down to the Smokies, and we were setting up camp, and we watched a tree behind us in the woods just fall. Massive, like 40, 50-foot tree.
Super loud.
Oh, it was terrifying, man. Because you could hear a crack, and then you hear all these leaves moving, and you turn around and this massive tree falls. It was like 20 feet behind us.
Yeah. My very, very first backpacking trip with Bridgette, we went to Red River Gorge in Kentucky. And on like night 2, it was on a holiday weekend. So we were out there for like 3 nights, I think. And I think it was night 2, we were camped, and then it's Bridget's second time sleeping in that tent. First time like sleeping on a pad. We had just been car camping before. And just in the middle of the night, just hear a giant snap. I actually wrote about it. I used to have a blog, and people can try to go find it. But I wrote about it, left this big cliffhanger on there, woke us up. You just heard snap, snap, but it's like a quarter of a tree. You know how there's a big branch sticking out that's like, you know, a foot wide?
Yeah.
Even that falling on the ground was massively loud.
Man, that's terrifying.
And it's falling. We looked around and couldn't find it anywhere around our campsite, but it sounded just like it had fallen right outside of the tent.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
I know, it's wild.
Anyway, that's crazy. But yeah, dude, so I would say, like, I think lesson learned from this last trip is that I have lost 35 pounds.
Oh, congratulations, man.
But I need to lose about 80 more.
It's pretty hard.
Because that extra weight carrying up the side of a mountain is not fun. I mean, it slows you down. And so it just encouraged me to keep losing the weight because I don't want to be so tired at the end of the day hiking up and down those mountains.
That's a fantastic way to look at it, man.
So it was that perspective. It was a lot of fun, though, man. I would dare say if you're listening right now and this is just basically story time today, but if you're listening, go check out Alabama. The Pinhoti Trail is a really cool trail, and it's got a lot of history to it, and it has one of the coolest trail insignias. Like, it's a turkey foot. Have you seen the trail insignia for it?
I may have seen it on other people's videos, but I've never looked it up.
It's a turkey claw, like a talon, basically, is what it looks like. It's really cool. The actual word Pinhoti is Native American for turkey. So it's the turkey trail, kind of like the Sheltowee Trace is the turtle trail.
Yeah.
The Pinhoti is the turkey trail. And so it was just, there's a lot of history behind it. And it's good to hike with somebody like Brad because he knows the history. and he was telling us stories along the way about the trail and the significance of different areas, and it was just an awesome weekend, man. He's one of those guys that I'm definitely gonna. I talked to him and I said, we're just gonna make this a November thing. I think we're gonna come back again next November and do it again. Just take us somewhere else and we'll hike somewhere else.
It's always good to have a local, there with you.
Yeah.
Because they could tell you all about all the great stuff, the history, show you some of the secret spots. Can you tell? Can you tell people where you started and stopped at? Do you know the name of the trailheads?
Oh man. See, here's the problem. We just went along Brad didn't give us anything ahead of time. He gave me a PDF. Let me see if I can pull up the PDF and if that will help.
Okay, because the reason why I was asking is if people are listening and they've, they can look at your Instagram and stuff like that and check out pictures and watch your video. But if they wanted to hike it, maybe in your YouTube video, or we could mention it on here, if you find it, and then they could re-hike. Because if it's anything like what I did whenever we were in Linville Gorge and there was views left and right.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure people would want to check that out.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, it was just one of those really cool trails that I don't know. I think it was Cave Creek Trail. Maybe that's what it was called. The Cave Creek Trail. I'm gonna have to go back and look because I'm not seeing his text on here. So, but I think, no, I take it back. Here it is. Let me pull it up. Okay. This is super professional what I'm doing right now.
It's all good, man. This is a resource for people.
So let me see if it'll let me stretch it out so I can get a better look here. Okay. So I believe, yeah, we did. Okay, so we hiked on the Pinhoti Trail and the Cave Creek Trail and the Nubbin Creek Trail. Those are the trails that we did. So
can you say it again?
We hiked on the Pinhoti, the Cave Creek Trail, and the Nubbin Creek Trail. And the Nubbin Creek Trail connects up with the Odom Scout Trail. And it was down in there where we saw the waterfalls that were so cool. See if I can bring this PDF up and get a good view so I can kind of see if I can get the name of those waterfalls that we saw.
Yeah, those waterfalls were gorgeous. I know people start on the AT at Springer, and then you have the approach trail. And I think it's the approach trail. I could be wrong about this, but there's just waterfalls everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful hike. It's not a ton of miles, which is the cool thing. I mean, it's just not a ton of miles, but it's just some beautiful sights. I mean, you're literally looking out every few 100 feet or so, and you're looking out and it's like you're on top of the world. You can just see for miles and miles and miles.
I love this kind.
Anybody who wants to go enjoy a hike that's not really terribly difficult. I mean, it'll make you tired because you're hiking uphill a lot coming back from the waterfalls, but the waterfalls are just gorgeous. And it was just awesome. It was just absolutely awesome.
I loved hearing about it, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, and I got to try out a new water system too.
What was it?
Water filter system. I used a Hydro Pack bag, like a 3-liter Hydro Pack bag, and the Be Free filter.
Oh, how'd that work?
It worked out awesome. It was like a faucet.
Enjoy it, man.
I know your story about that, and so but I talked to Devin Ashby, who's used it before, and he said the big thing is just do some pre-maintenance before you go on the trail.
Yeah, it's probably good for that. I still have mine. I haven't thrown it in the trash, but if I want to go out tomorrow, I don't want to have to soak that thing overnight. Or if you text me and you're like, hey, man, let's go tonight, and then I don't have it, then I'd be forced to take something else.
Yeah. No, it worked really well, and I love the Hydro Pack bag. And it's a 3-liter bag, but it only weighs 3 ounces.
You just filter through that? You don't use it as like a inline bladder or anything like that, right?
No, I just use it as a dirty water bag, but it's made in such a way so it's almost like a bottle.
Yeah.
And it's also got some different points along it where you can hang it on the back of your backpack or strap it to something, which is really cool. So I think it was cool because I had 2 1-liter bottles, and I would filter both the 1-liter bottles, and then I would drink the last liter straight out of the bag.
Yeah, through the filter.
Yeah, through the filter. That's important. That's important. So, but that was kind of good. It was the first. This is the first time in 2 years I haven't done the Sawyer squeeze in a Canuck bag.
Yeah, I really love that Sawyer squeeze. The Be-Free, bro, if that thing would stay as a faucet, I'm telling you, I would like swear by it.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. Of course, if you talk to Dan Becker, it's still better than everything else.
Yeah. Well, Dan has a lot of opinions. Some great, some good, some not good. Come get some, Dan.
Oh, man, that's great. I hope he actually listens to this so he can hear you calling him out.
He's not going to listen.
Well, man, we've been talking for about 40 minutes, and I know you are a little bit more on a time crunch than I am. So anything else you want to talk about before we close things out?
Did you like doing a story time episode?
It was kind of fun, man. It was kind of fun. Next time we need to get you to do a story.
Yeah, man. I'm planning on going on a trip pretty soon, so maybe we can hop on and share what happens.
Yeah, man. That would be awesome. I would love to hear a story. I'm hoping I may join you guys on that Oil Creek trip. I don't know. I'm Josh threw out the invite and said if I wanted to come I should.
You should, man.
I might do that trip. I might do that trip instead of it's not looking like promising for the Arizona trip at this point. So I may end up having to put the Arizona trip on hold for a while. So
the rule for Oil Creek is it's potluck style. So you have to bring your favorite dish.
You know what I'm probably going to do?
No Mountain House allowed.
I'm going to bring the thing that Jason Waugh himself said was the best of that he had ever eaten in his life.
You mean Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir?
Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir. I might make my homemade mashed potatoes with
do it, man.
Bacon and garlic and cream and butter.
Yeah, I hope we get some snow.
Oh, man. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Riding up with you guys and watching Jason freak out driving in the snow. That is totally my idea of fun.
For sure, man. Definitely.
Dude, I think I may end up just doing that instead because, I don't think the other trip's going to happen at this point. It looked promising a couple months ago, but it's looking more and more like it's probably not happening. So
we can always make a good time, man.
No. But the Oil Creek trip, I mean, I'm going to get to hike with some guys I've never gotten to go out with before, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, and if you want, you can sleep in the shelters with all those guys that snore.
Nope, I'm good. I like hammocks. They're nice.
I don't blame you, man.
I like hammocks an awful lot. So, well, either way, man, I think we're good on, I think we need to get this out of here so you can go be the family man that you are. I know you're getting ready to make some dinner for your family.
Yeah, I'm about to go eat right now.
Good, man. You do that, and we'll get together again soon. I know we got another live stream coming up here real soon.
Yeah, I don't know when people are listening to this. It could be after the live streams. I don't know. So if it's before the live streams, love you guys. Enjoy the live streams. If it's after, we'll see you in the next one, I guess.
Well, I know Ben McMillan is going to be our next live stream person. So if you don't hear it before that, then you're going to hear about Ben McMillan and Benny Braden, a.k.a. Plug It In Hikes. So we got 2 really cool guests coming up on that live stream here soon.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah,
great time.
Absolutely. Well, hey, you have a good day, my friend.
All right, man. I've had a pleasure talking to you. Talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Backpacking Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.
Adios.